Hey everyone, before I get started, I just want to remind you that if you like my content, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and then join the Militiaman and Crew Patreon community by clicking the link in the caption. Hey everyone, Militiaman and Crew's back again, and we're going to talk about some great information that we've got. It seems like yesterday was eventful, a little bit of stuff today. Uh, not earth shattering, but it's been, I think it's been really pretty good. So yesterday afternoon, it looks like the head of the Dinar Investment Authority announced the recovery of projects in the government with revealing attractive exemptions. So what are they talking about? It says that the investment has begun to revive as there are cases of positive and strategic projects starting, and there is a very optimistic vision that's going on in the area, right? It says Iraqi investment law grants the foreign investor additional privileges, including exemptions from customs and taxes for a period of 10 years. In the event that there is a partnership between the Iraqi and foreign investor, the ceiling of exemptions increases up another 5 years with expansion rates and others. So they're giving incentive for the investment authority to come in. We just came off the back of the Baghdad 2020 what is it, the 2023 or 2024 budget fair? No, the fair. So anyway, the bottom line is that Davos was at the same time frame, same week, and it's all about money and deals, and so and investment. And so now they're telling us, here yesterday that they have significant amounts of packages that they're willing to allow the investors to take advantage of, and that's pretty big. He goes on to explain that this investment is within the rights of the local and foreign investors, and therefore participation between the two includes great privileges and guarantees. And also with this investment law, the foreign investor is allowed to enter and exit his capital in the currency he desires. So why is that such a big deal? Is because if you look up the definition of Article 8, for instance, freedom of capital movement, you're going to find that with the IMF is a big deal. Here they're talking about there's allowed to enter and exit his capital in the currency he desires, which basically says he can employ workers, he can trade in the local stock market, the Iraqi stock exchange, he can invest in all fields except the fields of oil and gas and banking specifically. But the bottom line is freedom of capital movement at that level that they're talking about is what we can see. So that's a really good expectation. It says the law also prohibits the confiscation or securitization of any investment project except by judicial ruling. So in other words, they're given some safety mechanisms, if you will. He says, therefore, these are sufficient guarantees for the foreign investor as well as the local investor. Basically, what they're saying is that they're pledged to the local and central governments to give the investor that are within the powers of the law to move forward. There isn't any stalled projects. Keep it up. Keep doing your good work. We've basically resolved it, and the Prime Minister is involved with it the whole time. So that's pretty good information there today. And then, this is an interesting one where the United States ambassador usually talks about many things, a variety of things, but one of the things that you don't see the ambassador, Alina Romanowski, talk about is bank accounts. I'm not so sure it's her job, but if she wants to talk about bank accounts, she can. Because why? She's talking to a big and large, vast amount of people when it comes to what she is talking about with Iraq. Especially the countries of the world are looking at her because she is a strategic conduit to the globe and to the region and all the different entities that are come and go, whether it's the UN, World Bank, Bank of International Settlements, U.S. Treasury, everybody. She's got some influence, but yesterday. She says the data of the Central Bank of Iraq indicates that the total deposits held with Iraqi commercial banks increased by about 37% over the past 2 years. That's a pretty big increase. And from 21 to 2022, the total number of people who have a bank account in local banks increased by 31%. So Romanowski says on her X platform, used to be Twitter, she's commenting on the matter. It is an impressive progress. So here we have the ambassador to the United States of America for Iraq talking about, quote, by working with Iraq on reforms, we contribute to building confidence in the banking sector, where modern banking services enable greater promotion of foreign investment and protection of funds from financial crimes, theft, and loss. So those are pretty bold statements coming from the ambassador. And are they true? Of course they are. We know that we've been talking about this for the last 12, 13 months, that this new al-Sudani coming into office has created an environment where they have they have the Ministerial Council of Economics in place with all the highest level people involved internally within Iraq, working with those outside entities like I just mentioned, the U.S. Treasury, U.S. Federal Reserve, World Bank, Bank of International Settlements, the WTO, all of those things, all happening. Don't forget the UN, the 2030 plan. Talk about that in the last couple of days. We talked about that in the last week or so. What do they have a plan for? Sustainable development. What's the other plan they're going to have? The Development Road Project. Okay. What else is going on? What else is going on in the regions is that they're dealing with the Kurdistan region. The Kurdistan region hasn't quite finished, but they say they have getting their salaries in order. Getting their audit done for how many citizens need to get paid. There's going to be a fair accounting to get salaries paid one way or the other, whether they're coming out of the budget or whether they're going to come from the borders, customs and taxes, etc. So those things are in the news. It says parliamentary determination to approach the government regarding the oil and gas law. It says the Al-Mashkour pointed out that the committee will work to follow up on the 5th round of licenses for gas fields, in addition to approaching the government regarding the oil and gas law and the solutions it has reached to the points of contention between the center and the region. It has a past tense sound to it. Solutions it has reached to the points of contention. So in other words, they've reached those points that they had, right? So we'll see how this places us in the future. But we do know that Fawad Hussein, not the finance minister, but the foreign minister, just this not Monday, but the following Monday, said they cut a deal and told us on Wednesday that they did it that previous Monday. And with respect to the oil and gas and or their salaries. Okay, so we'll see which one of the two, if not both, are in the cards. But basically what it's coming down to is that we're seeing is that the oil for the Siam port hasn't left yet. Salaries haven't been paid yet. One thing leads to another that leads to what? A real effective exchange rate. I think that's where we are. I think that's pretty self-evident at this stage of the game. And so another one from yesterday, it says the parliamentary finance. We are close to ending the phenomenon of the parallel markets and prices are heading to decline. Okay, so first off, the parallel market is an illegal market. It's called the black market, parallel market, call it what you will. According to what they've been saying for probably upwards of 10 to 20 years, they call it a parallel market, but the bottom line is it's where a lot of money laundering and graft and all kinds of nefarious things have been ongoing for many, many years. And I think it goes to the highest in both lands, all the lands that are involved, coalition, everybody. They allowed it to happen. They didn't tamp it out 5-10 years ago, or they didn't tamp it out yesterday. But they're in the process of tamping it out now. And I think to be fair, that it's probably been since Sudani got into office, we've seen the inroads from 2022. I think he took part in his inauguration, if you will, in October. The Ministerial Council of Economics arrived in November, and here we are through a full year of 23. not seeing any spending just yet. We're not seeing all the projects paid for. We haven't seen the Cyan port open up since March. We've seen them lose billions of dollars. We haven't seen the salaries paid. We haven't seen all of those things just yet. And why did I say real effective exchange rate? I think it all hinges on real effective exchange rate. I think the 2023 budget, which is not completed yet, but yet they keep referring to it, is a retroactive budget. So we're going to have to see how that takes place. And we're closing in on the end of the month of January, which is this month is the first month of the 2024 quarter of the year. And so how's that going to work? We're going to find out. This particular article specifically states, the Parliamentary Finance Committee confirmed Wednesday, January 24th, that Iraq is close to resolving the crisis of the high dollar exchange rate and ending the phenomenon of parallel markets. And they go on to say that the Iraqi government and the central bank were able to truly control the exchange rate of the dollar and prevent its rise after taking various steps and decisions over the past months that led to the gradual decline of the dollar in the parallel markets. So we have to basically wait and see what they're all meaning by this, but there sounds like they have some stability, or do they have something more in store? We're going to find out. They go and they say they're working currently underway to end the so-called parallel markets, of course, and that the dollar will not be exchanged except at the rate approved by the Central Bank of Iraq. And we all know that that is the official exchange rate. Give 10 or 20 points one side or the other of that 1310, whether it's 1320, etc. So the decline in the parallel markets will continually and gradually be so in the coming days. So if the parallel market's going to gradually cease and decline over the next few days, that's what they're saying it's going to happen. They say it will continue gradually over the coming days. I'm fairly certain if they apply a real effective exchange rate, gradually is going to be a thing of the past. But we'll see how it works out. The Central Bank of Iraq announced in a statement that it had decided as of this January, so here we are, to limit all commercial and other transactions to the Iraqi dinar instead of the dollar inside of the country. So limit all commercial dealings. And what are they doing? It's an attempt to control the exchange rates in parallel markets. And they are looking at this happening as we speak, or this month, right? It says many factors contributed to creating the parallel market for the exchange rate, in which it's currently far from the official price set by the central bank at 132,000 or 132,000 dinars for every $100. Okay, so that's 1320. Anyway, it goes on, it says that Rashid points out that the continuing gap between the parallel and the official price is putting strong pressure on the markets and increasing the rate of a price rise. His committee will hold a series of sessions with the central bank starting over next week in order to coordinate towards supporting the markets and responding to the requirements of companies and traders in order to reduce prices as much as possible. So today's Wednesday, tomorrow's Thursday. We're going to see if next week starts up. And I think next week's getting closer and closer to the end of the month. So let's see what happens. He says he explains that supporting banks and openness in the labor market and production is a priority during this next stage. Increasing national production will reduce the demand for hard currency and lead to reducing the parallel market, and thus we are seeking to achieve at the present time. Well, when they go into the market economy, they're going to be doing increased production, because a lot of production is going to happen when they start building homes, building cities, building infrastructure. They're going to have some serious production going on. All the mining that's going to be happening, all of that trade, all the phosphates, all the minerals, all the rare earths, gold, everything that they have in the ground is going to come out of the ground, and they're going to start, moving it for building their own country or even exportation, and that's a big deal. So another thing I wanted to talk about here today is interesting, is because they use the word integration. Right? Integration is a key word that I think is important, is because one of the things that the WTO is having meetings on, and people have been talking about it for quite some time here at Patreon with Militiaman and crew. In our Discord chat room, we've been talking about the WTO, and we've had some help in that with plenty of people that are in our room that show that the WTO has meetings. Their calendar shows that they have meetings, just like the Bank of International Settlements has meetings, and they have specific meetings on specific dates for specific reasons. And some of those reasons are collectively about the same topics: exchange rates, bilateral exchange rates for the BIS. The WTO has accession issues, all kinds of different issues, but some of the issues that they're going to be having is about integration. Integration with the MC13 starts on the 26th to the 29th, I believe, of February. And what is that about? What I believe is that once you have the integration, it means that you are going to be part of a working party. In other words, you're going to have a session. There's no need to be having a working party with someone that doesn't belong there. If they're not having a session, they're not there yet. That means, why would they be there? So we're going to watch and see how this turns out. But when we talk about integration, we know that here's a snippet that comes from the WTO. It says a working party chair, in other words, the person that does the working party, visits Baghdad to hold high-level consultation on Iraq's accession. So this guy is part of the working party, but he's going to come talk to them and have consultation for Iraq's accession. So I think it was that what I just read supports what I just said. His visit started with the meeting with the President Abdul Latif Rashid, who affirmed Iraq's keenness to join the WTO by achieving the commercial and economic standards. Well, one of the commercial standards might very well be having Iraq Article 8 compliant, using their own currency for commercial trade. I think we just talked about that a little bit. Commercial, right? Iraq is going to use the dinar as of January 1st for commercial use, not the dollar. So if they get rid of the dollar, or they cease the auctions, or they apply the delete the zeros project, you can see where all of a sudden the parallel market, that illegal market, is going to go bye-bye. So it says here, Iraq's keenness to join the WTO by achieving the commercial and economic standards, and highlighted the work of Iraq's National Committee on WTO accession to prepare for the formal resumption. Integration. 26, 27, 28, 29 is about integration. MC13, okay, Ministerial Council is all working. The working groups are going to be working for who? All the countries. There could be one, there could be 14, 15 of them. Exactly, I don't have a number, but I do know there could be a lot. And so, but Azerbaijan, Iraq, and others, Timor-Leste, the Comoros, those are all names that they've been using. So two of those, of which I just mentioned, already have published if they have a session, and I'm assuming they're going to be in these meetings. But they go on to say, Iraq is one of the largest economies which remains outside the multilateral trading system. So they're just not yet there in that multilateral trading session, the WTO, a system, I should say. It says, given the strategic location, Iraq's integration into this global economy through the WTO membership can help deepen regional economic integration, We see the UAE talking about integration, which in turn can contribute to peace and security in the region, so they add. So that is absolutely phenomenal stuff. One of the other things I wanted to talk about was so the integration aspect of this is party to a lot of guys and people. When they get together and they all integrate, they're going to be doing some, I don't know, party time, which means they're going to be doing some big business. I mean, some really big business. It says here that the Makia, his name is, Iraq is looking forward to greater activation of economic relations with the United Arab Emirates. The chairman of the National Investment Authority, Haider Mohammed Makia, he basically says and confirms on Wednesday that Iraq is looking forward to greater activation of bilateral economic relations with the United Arab Emirates, because you can have relationships, you can have them singularly, bilaterally, or even multilaterally. And here they're just specifically talking about bilaterally economic relations. He goes on to say that the chairman of the National Investment Authority receives the ambassador of the United Arab Emirates to Iraq, Salim Isa Ali Al-Khatam Al-Zayabi, and received an invitation to participate in the World Government Summit for the year 2024. So there's more to come. He goes on to say that developing economic and investment relations between Baghdad and Abu Dhabi, facilitating procedures, granting exemptions, again, that we have that exemptions related to investors, companies, and capital to begin implementing investment projects. So money in, money out, right? Freedom of capital movement, I think that's where we're headed. Positive, right? Capital to begin implementing investment projects from another country. In and out. It's huge. Okay, so he goes on to say, Iraq is looking forward to great activation of bilateral economic relations with the United Arab Emirates and the creation of investment opportunities and vital strategic projects for foreign and Arab companies, including the Emirati ones, right? He says Emirati ambassador pointed out the importance of achieving integration and economic development between Iraq and the Emirates in the context of the investment sector and consolidating cooperation relations to achieve common goals. Well, if we come back to the integration part, if they're going to be having freedom of capital movement, we're going to have to know that Iraq is about ready to, if they haven't already specifically stated, they're going to show at some point in time that they have freedom of capital movement. You're able to move money in and out in the currencies. You can bring your investment in and sit down, do business, and then take your profits, if necessary, home or reinvest. They told you they could do the stock exchange. There's many things that they can do with their money. There was a few things that they couldn't do, but ultimately they could invest in the Iraqi stock exchange. By extension, my assumption is investors can even tap into that banking sector by investing not directly into the bank, but into their shares. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and we can see that when we talk about Iraq is about ready to open the doors for international business and trade. We saw the Baghdad Fair, we saw the Davos meetings, all about business. You see the contracts. We saw the tenders that they were doing last year. We have seen a complete avoidance of not paying salaries and discussing why they haven't done it. The 2023 budget aspect of it, and now they're scheduling for bits and pieces for the 2024 budget, but yet we're waiting for that retroactive exposure for the 2023. And so they haven't done that yet. And again, we talked earlier about the 2024 first month is January. It's coming to an end. And what do they have to say for themselves? We're going to find out. It's obviously coming to the end of the month. So we'll see. All right. Well, anyway, for everybody, thank you for being with me. If you like my content, hit that like button and subscribe if you would, please. And of course, all contributions that you guys help with are greatly appreciated, that help keep us all running, helps keep Samson in the news, helps keep Gigi and all the people working in our Discord chat room rolling and smoothly. And come join us. It's fun. Once again, guys, don't forget to hit that like button if you like this content, subscribe to the channel, or join us at the Militia Man and Crew Patreon community for even more exclusive content. You can also donate to this channel by hitting the links in the banner to help keep this page up and running. Your generous support is greatly appreciated, as always. Much, much appreciated. Thank you so much, and have a great day.